Wife brought him in. He's a total non-believer. Why wouldn't he come in? He's been to the ENT. They stuck a camera down his throat, and they found what? One of his vocal cords wasn't moving. Now, he's a financial speaker, and he does conferences. He does seminars. That's his job. He can't even talk. I called him after the first adjustment, and he's like this. Hey, how you doing? It was heartbreaking for me. I could barely talk to the guy. You could hear the stress in him because his whole life was falling apart. Second adjustment, I adjusted him. He came into the office talking like you and me. And what do you think the first thing he said to me? That ENT doesn't know shit. And that's the first thing and I was like, dude, just back away, man. Just back up. I was, seriously. I was like, it was amazing. He was in my office today. He's talking perfectly normal. It's been 3 weeks. He's totally on board with what we're doing. Okay? You remove the compression from the human body, you remove the tension. This is not just about the nervous system. Yes, it is the nervous system, but it's so much more. You can't look at these systems and say this is the nervous system under stress. This is the whole human body suffocating. We call it body subluxation. You know, amazing things happen. Amazing things. You know, I had a girl came into my office about a month and a half ago. She's a 300-pound lady with red hair, a red afro. Okay, she's 32 years old. Her parents brought her in. She's had a nerve block. She has severe migraines. She can't barely open her eyes. She's not talking to me. Okay, I take pictures on her, get her on the PMD, I release her. Okay, I release her. I didn't correct her. I can't correct people on the first visit. I released this thing. Before she left the office, 80% of her migraine was gone. She's already referred me 6-8 people. She just referred her aunt in, who has supposed to have surgery in 2 weeks for an L5 annular tear. She's on number 15 Percocets a day. She has neuropathy down into the leg. It was gone after the first visit, and she's 50% better in the pain at the disc. And it just keeps getting better. So will it help her? I don't know. But you know what? It's another option. It's better than having surgery right now, right? So a lot of cool stuff now that we've got this thing moving that we're starting seeing. I was telling Dr. Collette, man, like, we're just seeing more miracles so much more consistently now that we started three-dimensionally. We understand the sagittal plane, the transverse plane, and releasing the tension three-dimensionally. Okay, so this is what happens is we have this algorithm that I showed you before, and we want to start releasing it. And these are the different tensions that go on, okay? The body went off center. That's number one. It leans like this to the right. So what did it do? It compensated. So it activated this muscle, number 2. Then what did it do? It stabilized it with number 3 so I didn't fall over. And then number 4 is this vertical collapse. And we're going to release that in just the opposite way. We're going to release the vertical collapse, which is that twisting of the pelvis and twisting of the shoulders, which we measure. And we're going to release everything from up top. And then what we're going to do is we're going to release the stabilizer, we're going to release the compensation, we're going to release the weight. Boom, 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 boom. And we don't do it in steps like that because some of these things come together as a package. Okay? So everybody in this procedure goes ahead and gets adjusted on both sides. Why? Because everybody is three-dimensional. And you can't get everything from one side. So both sides. Okay? So this is what happened to this guy after 4 months of care. A little different, yeah? I spoke to him on email a couple weeks ago just to see how he was doing, man. So what this guy, why he came, is that he had a right-sided, I don't know this stuff anymore, I just know this. I don't know all the cranial nerve and all that stuff. But his tongue was plastered against the right side of his cheek. Couldn't eat, severe pain. His tongue was in massive spasm, all right? And he's good to go. I mean, you wouldn't fly to Saudi Arabia and move here. He moved here for a year. Saw the other guys for about 6 months, and then he stayed here for about 6 months. And by the way, I don't help every single person. I just also want to make that really clear. I want to make sure that's really clear, okay? Those people are in my life for what? So that I can learn how to do that on hopefully more people. You always will have a pain in the ass in your office. It's guaranteed. Just get used to it, right? Isn't that right? Yes, ma'am.
Once you release the compression and the tension, is there a method to detoxify or detox?
Well, you know,
or is it nutrition or drinking a lot of water?
You know, I'm a person that likes to do things that make sense to the patient. So something for you to detoxify may be a certain way that you like to do that versus somebody else. And I have some ground rules of some stuff. And I have an NRT person, nutrition response testing person in my office. okay? So I send them off to them if need be, if I think that's necessary, and they take care of it designed for them, okay?
I had another question. If you have somebody who has an injury where the pelvis is, if you look at the person's back, it's, you know, it's a 51-year-old injury, can this help a little bit? Or would you leave it alone because it's 51 years in one place?
No, I have people that are in their 80s and 90s in my office, okay? You know, it's a funny, what's your name?
Marge?
Marge? So you know, it's a funny thing. I have like the craziest things that come into my office that you would think that you're not gonna help, and then I can't help somebody that has like a shoulder injury. So I don't know the answer to that. I don't know why that occurs, and again, and I've thought about it, to me is that people have a lot of things going on in their life, and we're not the only stressor to it. And so, you know, if somebody can handle 10 bricks, and you take off 10, but they already had 20 on there, they're still at 10. And if they don't learn to take care of themselves, people have to learn to take care of themselves also. You know, and I think we initiate that process in our office, because most people that come to see chiropractors are pretty broken, you know, because we're not the first people that they come see usually, right? We're not, you know. But with the detoxification and all that stuff, is I try to empower people to make decisions that resonate for them. I don't tell people what to do. I say, look, this is the model, and why don't you look at these things and see what you can do to take a step forward. Because if you do something too much, New Year's resolutions don't work. So they just don't work, you know? And you know, if somebody comes in my office and they're, you know, 50 pounds overweight or something like that, it's not for me. I'm not gonna start nagging them about their weight. They know already. I say, look, these are the things that are going on for you. You need to look at your life and start making some decisions. If you want to have some conversations about that. And I run through this philosophy of body off center, body compensating, body collapsing, building up these toxins, bending the discs, muscle imbalances, chronic. I go through that in my initial consultation. And I say the path to this is to be able to decompress this, correct this, stabilize it, and an infusion process of bringing in good stuff. And I tell people it's like having a filthy pool. You got a garbage pool, the first thing that you have to do is you got to get the pump going. Then you get the garbage out, and then you put the good stuff in, and then you keep that thing moving, which is cardiovascular and good blood and oxygen nutrition exchange, changing your lifestyle a bit, and guess what happens? Boom.
3 hours away.
So where are we at? We're at a just concepts that we look at a whole human body. It goes off center. It compensates neurologically and myofascially, okay? Neuromyofascial. The neurology goes ahead and activates the myofascial system and says, hey, put this bad boy up on center so that the body has an energetic value that can sustain. The problem with that model is that gravity over time compresses the human body and torques it down and torques it down. And through that process, the human body moves through a symptomatic cycle of pain, chronic pain, functional issues, systemic issues, and collapse. Okay, we all know this. We all get the tap and we get the foot. Okay, so my approach and my questions have been is how do we understand this whole picture three-dimensionally, and how can we start getting it back to a better place, which is more orthogonal, more tensegral, more balanced, more healthy, more up and more open, more blood and oxygen moving through the nervous system, the brain stem, all the body, okay? Because I don't buy that this is any more important than this, because if you take your heart out, guys, it doesn't matter how your brain stem is, you're not going anywhere. Okay, so I'm a vitalist. You got to take care of the whole thing, all right? So, what we start in the office is with this machine right here. It's called a PMD. And what it is a fancy knockoff of what Dr. Gregory made, okay? And it's a 21st century one, all right? So we took their information, and I mean, like I said, I have that original anatometer. I took that information and it's got things from the 50s and 60s that are not as technologically sound as some of the things that we have today. All right. So it uses calipers to measure tilt, and it uses a spin arm to measure the twist. and those two systems are very inaccurate. So what we looked at is a laser system, and these are just off the shelf, you know, 50 bucks a pop. Go buy them at Home Depot. And we put them on a sliding arm. Those sliders that are on there are the ones that they use in the movie industry. The rail just on this unit right here is $2,000. So it floats like nothing. So we have the lasers, and what we do is we look at the weight differential side to side, which is this thing down here. We look at this slides up and down, and these are the lasers here, and they slide on this rail, and they slide up, and we measure the pelvis, and we measure the shoulder. We measure those in millimeters, all right? We also have this thing here, which is a self-leveling laser, and we can look at the balance of the neck, where the VP is relationship to the EOP, tilt, shortening, contraction, activation. We look at the head tilt of where the head is tilted with the ears, okay? And we come up with a postural listing. This is a postural listing that we use that tells me everything about the human that stands in front of me. They have a right short leg. They have 25 more pounds on the right. The shoulder is posterior 8 compared to the left shoulder. We use the weight side to use to delineate the shoulder and the pelvis. So this is a right short leg that's a half, right 25 pounds. On the right side, I have an 8 millimeter posterior shoulder. I have an anterior 5 pelvis. The fixed point, which is the vertebral prominence, is 2 millimeters off of vertical. And these letters right here are where the body is short. We call the first one the bow. And that is where the shoulder and the pelvis are in compression, like this. This is where the neck is, and this is where the head is. So I can look at this whole thing, and I can repeat that person right in front of you. They're a right short leg, so when they stand up, they go 25 pounds off of center. The shoulder is low on the right, the neck is to the right, the head goes left, the shoulder is posterior 8, and the pelvis is anterior 5. You see that misalignment? Once you start seeing that and start building it, you actually start having an understanding of how to correct it. Because if you don't see the whole thing and understand that, then we're just knocking bones around. So when you start seeing something like this, you would say, well, what would I do to that? I'd get the compression out, get the body weight, and the head up, and bow out, get the body up on center, and then tap the head up. Why would I tap the head last? Because the head is the top compensator. Okay, where's the stress on this misalignment? Everything's going to the right. Who's taking all the stress? The head. This person's probably a migraine, TN patient, something like that. Vertigo. That counter rotation is vertigo. This person's out of balance. The shoulders and pelvis are not moving together. They're in trouble. The body has a right short leg. What do you think the shoulder should do? It should have turned back to the left. Why didn't it do that? Well, obviously it had trauma. Well, if the shoulder didn't turn back, what's the second backup system? The neck. Why did the neck go back? Well, there must have been a trauma there too. So the head is the only thing that's taking this. So there's so much valued information by looking at the relationship of the posture. Right short leg brings right weight because the hip drops down. The person should turn back to the left. And this should be like this. And it should collapse as a unit, not anterior and posterior. So you get valuable, valuable information of understanding not just how to fix this thing, but where it's been biomechanically unsound, where it's out of balance, where it's no longer coplanar. It's not coplanar. It's here's the shoulder and here's the pelvis. It's twisted like a dish rag. Shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. So now you start talking to the patient and they start understanding how important and how much stress this thing is under. You start drawing that picture out for them, and before you know it, you can start seeing how to correct these things. They see the path to care. They see why they're having the trouble that they're having. And we